speech is considered violence in Europe by the laws. Speech is considered violence in Europe if they don't like what you have to say. This has happened across Europe for a very long time. So this just happened this weekend. This is what, the 40th example of me being dinged for violating a version of some kind of this law in Germany. We have an overlay. This is where I said that there was a guy. We'll show the clip later. There's a special place. I think Dante created a circle in hell for guys like this. I'll show you the clip. You'll all agree and be guilty of hate speech too. Let's look at the laws in Europe and hate speech. This is something I've talked with people about so many times. And I know that we have a lot of viewers, obviously, in Canada, in Europe, in Australia. You don't have freedom of speech. It doesn't exist. It's why I will likely never do a live show in Europe or Australia. Maybe Canada. I have no idea, because I could be hauled out in cuffs. They can arrest people for speech. Only in the United States is it protected. And that's why, again, you have to look at what would the Democrats push for. What would they have? People always, it's not left, right, it's not Democrats, it's not Republican. It is when the entire platform of the DNC, when the entire platform believes, for example, abortion up until and including birth, period. That's the platform. You may not like a lot of Republicans. Guilty. Not a huge fan. However, I am precluded from supporting the platform of Democrats on anything because of what the platform represents. Yeah. And if the platform had their way unfettered, you would have Europe. The platform of the Democrats today does not believe in freedom of speech. It does not believe in the First Amendment, just as it doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. The United States is the only place that actually has true freedom of speech enshrined into law. Now, let's look at Europe and their sort of broad hate speech laws, which, by the way, is illegal across. So like Denmark, for example, it criminalizes expressing and spreading racial hatred. Well, we've all seen how that can get away from you.
Well,
you just committed racial hatred by labeling that black guy a woman accidentally.
Yeah, well, it looked like a woman.
Because the braids.
That's true. I would be hauled away.
Denmarkians.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
In France, the press law of 1881, incitement to racial discrimination, hatred, or violence, these were illegal. In the UK, the POA there, 1988, Section 18, parentheses 1, I don't know exactly what this means. Resources are all available at subsection 1, louderwithcrowder.com. Criminalizes threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior. See how it gets more and more broad? Insulting words.
Half our conversations with liberals.
So here's the thing. People put in threatening. You go, well, of course, to commit an actual violent threat, that's a crime. Yeah. Abusive. People in their mind will go, well, abusive, okay, physical abuse. And you see that with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, where it's abusive. Did he hit you? He was verbally abusive. You hit him. That's actual abuse.
Yeah.
Or insulting words or behavior. What would insulting behavior is that what they mean? Insulting behavior is illegal in the UK.
Is it a roast?
Yeah.
I mean, and is it a joke? I mean, that's the problem. Is a joke hate speech? That's the problem. Is it's all based on interpretation.
And this is the issue: is speech is you've heard now silence is violence. What they say in the United States, they've gone one step further
ever.
Because speech is considered violence in Europe by the laws. Speech is considered violence in Europe if they don't like what you have to say. This has happened across Europe for a very long time. So this just happened this weekend. This is what, the 40th example of me being dinged for violating a version of some kind of this law in Germany. We have an overlay. This is where I said that there was a guy. We'll show the clip later. There's a special place. I think Dante created a circle in hell for guys like this. I'll show you the clip. You'll all agree and be guilty of hate speech too.
You're no David Hasselhoff in Germany, that's for sure.
Now, this was under a different act, right? It was the Network Enforcement Act.
Yeah.
That already exists. So that criminalizes online dissemination of what they say propaganda, preparations against the state, treasonous forgery, public incitement, disturbing the public peace via threats, or then, of course, inciting hatred against a racial, ethnic, or national group. These are the subsets of the law. And again, you always think it sounds good until you get to that last portion. And guess what? They use that last portion to say what? Get rid of the sitting president.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.